My first memory of Tommy was just after he'd signed for Glasgow. Nobody really knew who he was. And then Ulster were playing Glasgow on a Friday night at Firhill. And we saw that Tommy was on the bench and we're like, great, let's see what he's like. Things. I wasn't playing at the time, but I remember sitting in the stand and all of us were like, oh, here comes this winger. And we're like, is it a winger? He comes kind of like, gets his kit off and he like waddles on and we were like, oh, come on, is this who we've signed? And he, to be fair though, he ended up going on to have a really good game, and yeah, the rest is history.
God, my memory's so bad. I actually can't remember the first time I met you.
I know why I remember my first day meeting you all. It was because it was the same day I hadn't had my medical yet, and I had to do that full day of training pre-season. I jumped in my car to go up to, where was Jerry's practice?
Oh yes,
Ardrossan. Had to drive straight from training to Ardrossan. So dehydrated. Went in there, did my medical exam. Less about that, the better.
Yeah, didn't they think
and
you were dying?
Yeah, and then I got had to do. He's like, oh, just last bit. You have to do the urine test. Have to do the urine test. So I thought, yeah, no problem. Brought it back into him. Did a little dipstick, and he just rotates around in his chair and looks at me. He goes, "Okay, Tommy. I don't want to panic you, but there's some blood in your urine that we're going to have to look into." And I'm obviously a kid who's just moved across, panicking like mad. And I'm like, well, what does it mean? He goes, okay, well, obviously the worst case scenario is, that you've got, cancer. I'm going, what?
Welcome to Glasgow.
So I'm driving back from Ardrossan, sad songs on the radio, thinking that's it, my life's over. He's giving me a pot of dipsticks to check it when I get home. By the time I get home and I'm hydrated again, it's absolutely fine. But I had to go through what was it, like 3 weeks of medical exams, seeing people? Because they said I might have a muscular degenerative disease, all kinds of things.
You play for like ages when you first came in.
And then,
I do actually remember that.
I'd end up going to see a specialist, Ross Hall. He sat me down for about 5 minutes. Talked to me about rugby, and then at the last 20 seconds he went, oh, by the way, I've looked into this, you're absolutely fine. See you later. I'm like, oh, brilliant. Just in time to go to Condor. So yeah, brilliant.
God, you were bloody good back then though.
Actually, do you know what, in that game I went up for a high ball and knocked it on, and then Johnny Beattie messed it up or something like that, which ended up getting our scrum over the line to allow Pinar to kick the winner. So if I hadn't knocked that ball on at the time, also wouldn't have won the game.
I remember that game.
Yeah.
And so you had signed for Glasgow and you were playing against us.
Yeah, you boys were doing outstandingly well that year.
That became 11th and 12th, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was why we could only recruit you.
Touche.
I was a young player coming through the academy system, and I heard about Gino before I ever met him, because the word in the street was there's a guy in the age group above me who was really good and smashed everyone. So I was quite scared of him up until the time I got to meet him. Surprised by how small he was.
Angry little man, eh? Very angry little man. That's what I remember.
I had to be because I was so small. I was angry.
We'd drive through to Edinburgh in those days in the academy every single day, and we'd do one-on-one tackling with Gino, and I was about as good at stepping as I am now, so I'd try and step and he'd absolutely empty me out, and then we'd just do that over and over again. That's all I remember from the academy, just doing drills where I got emptied by Gino over and over again.
I remember in the academy you weren't training one day and you had to go and stand at the side and practice your line out movement patterns. So Bob was just on his own with like 3 cones, and he was just like dummying, coming back and then jumping for like literally an hour. As you can imagine, he took it literally that he had to do that for the session. And we were kind of giggling at the end of the day, and Alan Powell, can you remember, were you there? Pulled us all in. And went mental. And it was like, you're laughing at him, but he's the only one here that's going to make it.
More for us, 250 caps. Rob's still here.
That's why I'm the great line-out option I am today.
I can't actually remember the first time I properly met you, but
it would have been under 19s.
It was under 19s when we went out in Milan to that.
Pretended I could speak Italian.
Was Lou there?
My old man was there.
Yeah,
the taxi brought us all back to the hotel.
That's it. I can remember Lou more than you actually.
All our old men went to the game. Remember, all the boys thought that
to travel out,
if you came from Fife, it was like a requirement that you had a tash.
Yeah, to have a moustache.
Yeah, because your old man, my old man, and Chad's old man.
All of them did it.
Good night out in Milan. That remember when we went? The buffet. Do you remember the buffet?
I remember it.
In the middle of the nightclub.
Yeah, we went to a nightclub and there was a buffet in the middle of the nightclub, and you had to like buy tokens to get in there. It was really weird. I'm sure it was like a private party that we ended up getting into.
Gino, you didn't speak to me for 6 months when I arrived, so my first impression was
I used to be a bit
absolutely
funny with new people, Tam. Like being from a
Used to
small,
be.
Well, I'm better now. I've mellowed out now that I've had kids. Am I not?
No, I don't think
Yeah.
so. No.
Sorry.
Sorry,
Apologise.
mate. Look where we are now. All good.
Pete actually signed the year before me. Didn't he? Yeah, you were already a pro when I.
We
came.
signed in the academy the same year together, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Och, Fuzzy was always the best when we were growing up. He was better than everyone.
What happened?
Like Bob says, those stories were true. He used to play up to it as well. Like he used to like shave his head like down to the bone, and remember he used to like drink raw eggs on the bus to games and stuff, just to really make the enigma. But
Did you actually?
Yeah.
Surely
Mate, you know how I
and sugar.
You know how I used to spew. You know I used to spew before every game. It was actually my old man. He said, "Oh, it was Zabaione, you know, the Italian like."
It was Rocky
Whip up-
too,
You
mate.
whip up you whip up raw eggs, wee bit of marsala, like a tiny bit of alcohol and castor sugar. I used to have that before a game, and I used to bring it on the bus like on the away games to stop me being sick, and it worked for a bit. Genuinely settled my stomach. Zabaione, it's called.
That is actually one memory I do have of when we played under 19s. The first
Spewing
time I played with
every
you, as we
game.
were running out, you spewed up all down someone's back. Who's
Yeah,
back?
Ash McCulloch, was it?
And the anthems as well, eh?
Then you started giving it the and threw up all over the back. Yeah, I forgot you used to do that all the time.
Yeah, when I used to play, I used to be sick before
It
games.
wasn't a normal change room if Fuzzy wasn't
Heaving
hacking in the corner,
toilet.
mate.
Yeah. Done that since minis, like since I was like 8 or 9 years old, just to spew before every game. It was actually a lot of fun.
Great
to be honest.
times, yeah.
It was a really good bunch of guys back in the day. So like end of Lenin, start of Tunis era, and it kind of, I don't know, because it was so bad, it made it funny.
Yeah.
So if we won a game, it was such a massive celebration because we were a bit of a. Well, saying that, like we still had obviously loads of good players, just didn't really win many games.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I didn't drive at the time, so I'd relied on these guys to take me everywhere.
Bungee.
Yeah.
It was, half-hour drive.
And
from-
feed him his lunch as well.
I remember.
I remember that, baby.
I remember when I was in the academy, Gino and I came last to the little. They made some weird little lunch cabin for all the
Moneyfield.
academy players, and all the brownies were gone by the time Gino got there, and he was absolutely raging about it. And then I told him that was communism. Expected they got shared out equally.
We always used to go to Condor back in those days. And Fuzzy's first year he signed, or was it were you still in the academy at the time? We were still maybe academy boys,
Yeah, I think I was still in the academy.
and we were like desperate to impress. One of the first things we did was we went down to the beach, and it was what was it? It Pays to Be a Winner, it was called, and there's this massive sand dune, and they were literally like, right, everyone has to sprint to the top of the sand dune. The person that's first gets to drop out. The rest of you will just like jog back down and start again and go and go and go. By the end, Fuzzy was literally crawling up the hill. Shiz the kit man was like sprinting past him. It was so fun.
I remember that. I always
You
Dan Parks. Yeah, Dan Parks wasn't the fittest guy. Probably one of the least fit guys in the team. And it was, I think, towards the end of the day, we were doing like a gun run, pushing that massive artillery gun around, and you boys were about 200 metres ahead. 100 metres behind was Dan Parks, and 100 metres behind him was me. I kind of thought my career was over before it even started because I was so unfit. Stayed much the same, to be honest.
I mean, some of the memories the boys are talking about, obviously, isn't it? Maybe the bouncing around venues was probably the year before I came. I think the last year we played under Lenine, that was the kind of year when I came in, was a lot when most of us were around the similar age, and we kind of get our first real exposure to a lot of pro games, and I think that really benefited us in that first year with Gregor, because a lot of the guys we'd done well that year under Sean. Like I think we made the semi-finals, but it was just the exposure a lot of the young guys got, and I think Gregor benefited from that as well. That there was a lot of guys around that 21, 22 year old mark that hadn't been away at the World Cup in 2011 that actually ended up being the backbone of Gregor's first couple of years, and bonded us really well, and
It's mental to think. Do you remember we used to go to Fir Hill for like team run and stuff? Drive up to Fir Hill, do our team run there. Do you remember like how bad the changing rooms were at Fir Hill? And then like we'd always go in and have a laugh at the away changing room as well.
That's what I mean. I was obviously the year before, whatever it was, 4 months before, I was in the away change room, and it was tiny, and I was thinking, oh, surely the home one's better than that, but it wasn't really, was it? It was marginally bigger, but you still got changed in the shower if you're on the bench.
Yeah, it was still terrible. That's crazy, isn't it, to think back that far?
Different times, mate.
And that was the start of the flipping glory days, eh?
That's it.
It was just good fun. Like,
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? There was less pressure then.
Just
No one really knew who we were, so
class.
do what you wanted.
Yeah. And like every away trip was just like, you looked forward to it, getting away with the boys. It was just like so much fun. Training was good. It was, nobody took anything personal.
Yeah.
Personally, it was
Every Monday you come in, there'd be something about Bob being out on the weekend, something he'd been up to, and we'd always, what's Bobby been up to now this weekend?
We beat Munster in the final here, didn't we? Like, that was a brilliant game. Semi-final, yeah. That was the first time we'd had like the big stands up. I remember that game was unreal. And we thought, obviously thought it was going to be even better over in Dublin, and then didn't go that well for us. The build up to that was brilliant. I remember like there was loads of, it was like Paolo Nutini, that other band Twin Atlantic, everyone like tweeting us saying good luck. And we had all that up in the hotel room, like dining room before we played. It was pretty cool.
Was that the one where we got the thing from Alex Ferguson, or was that another one?
Nah, that was the next year. The year we won it, and
yeah.
it was just up in the.
The good luck
just
message from Fergie. That was pretty cool as well.
Yeah, I remember that one. Was the Munster semi-final then here? Was that the one where Nico was accused of biting? Or was that
I don't know.
I think that was during the season.
Yeah, it was during the season,
early in
yeah.
the year.
That was
was it?
Yeah,
Was it that year that we hosed them? We put 50 on the member. Barkley took an intercept right at the end of the game here, ran it in and scored, and it went to like 48, I think. And Big Al grabbed Dunkey before the kick and was like, "We better kick this," and he slotted it, and it was like the first time we smashed them. Yeah. Keats was playing that day actually. Came off the bench. He threw the pick actually to Barkley.
Is that right?
I remember it.
And then he played in the next year's one as well, in the final.
Yeah.
He's the one that
He
got
played
handed
then,
off and
didn't
DTH scored.
Yeah, he was playing. There's loads of pictures of him. If you go back and look at all the pictures, it's always him just getting palmed off by everyone, hanging off Leone's arm. When was your first cap, Tom?
We all got capped on that too.
2000 it would have been 2013, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
2013 on the. It was the same year as the Lions, the quadrangular tournament or whatever they called it, wasn't it?
You, me, Adam, ICO, and you
Oh, over in South Africa, the
Yeah,
quadrangular tournament. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where you got your first cap.
Yeah, because I think I benefited a little bit from the fact that obviously Shawnee got called up to the Lions, so it kind of opened up a spot for me to go. So yeah, that was my first one out there against South Africa actually. That was.
And
my
that was
first
Scott
game.
Johnson was the coach.
Scott Johnson, yeah.
And
Pulling me
yours,
for the front of the
yours
bus.
was before that, wasn't it?
No, it was 2014 against
England.
at Murrayfield. That was my first one,
What did Jono say to you that day? We're going to attack them on the ground or something like that.
Jono said,
Pygmy
in
or
the
something.
changing rooms, he said one of the seven dwarfs has managed to get some holiday time and he's come to play for Scotland. Referring to me, obviously, because of my massive stature. But yeah, chuckling away to himself because he'd made a good joke about my first cap. To be honest,
What, did he say that to you before the game?
he said it in the changing room, like the day
Before
before.
the game?
Yeah, the day before when before captain's run, he was like, "One of the seven dwarfs has come on his holiday."
I suppose it's, for me, I look back at my time here and I suppose what I was so fortunate is I got inducted into a group of players that were just the best teammates like I could ever have dreamed of. Like selfless to a point, to a fault. Like young guys, all unbelievably hungry and passionate about playing in the shirt that, they were blessed to play in. Like the city as a whole, these guys, they taught me what it was to kind of become passionate about a club, and obviously I started my rugby career at Ulster, but Glasgow is my club, and that's the way I see it because of, and no small feat, because of these guys, and especially these four sitting around here. I'm fortunate to have had a career in this game, but I'm even more fortunate to actually have been playing with these four guys, because the four of the best teammates I've ever had, but four of the best mates I could have ever dreamed of making while I play this game.
They say blood, sweat and tears. It's a bit of a cliche, but it's just been brilliant and something that will be. I'll definitely cherish it. Obviously, I get very emotional. Sorry about that, but yeah, I'll cherish the memories that we've built here for the rest of my life, and yeah, it's been an amazing time. Obviously had a family here as well. It'll be sad to move back up the road to Fife, but yeah, I'm kind of happy that it's happened, not sad that it's finishing. So yeah, cheers boys.